Hey, everybody, it's time. It's time for another episode of the Hemmings Hot Rod BBQ podcast. And on this episode, I've got the one and only Tjin, Tjin Edition, the madman that helped me build that Durango that we built for SEMA last year, that crazy green Hellcat monster. And it's always good to talk to Neil, have him back on. And he's been doing a whole bunch of stuff on the electric side of things. Last year was high horsepower, ice motor. Now we're going electric. Neil, how you doing, buddy?
Good, sir. Thank you for the pleasant introduction. And I heard barbecue. It's lunchtime, so I love the name of the podcast. No, Mike, thank you. Yeah, it was a blast last year. I can't believe it's been 7 months since we really linked up. SEMA seems like it was around the corner. I know we got some cool stuff planned, but no, it's been great, man. I've been watching you and your toys, and like you said, playing in the EV space now a little, which we talked about at SEMA. So man, it's been a blessing. I love doing stuff with you. So let's keep rocking and rolling.
There's no question about that. But dude, let's talk about Electrify Expo for a second, because these are happening all year. And you know, you are, from what I understand it, the Director of Electrify Showoff. Is that correct?
Yes,
around thereabouts? Okay.
Yeah.
So give us an idea about, first off, what is Electrify Expo, and then go into what you're doing there.
Yeah, so quickly, as you know, we spent a lot of time at SEMA together.
Mm-hmm.
So Electrify Showoff came out of nowhere. It's the brainchild of myself and BJ Burtwell, who is the owner of Expo. So been to a couple of expos. This is our third year. Started the Great Park here in Irvine. And the cool thing about Expo, what excited me besides building Showoff from scratch, Expo is a giant festival. And I know you're coming out to some
Yep.
It's just different. It's not a car show. You and me been to car shows. You do a ton. Right. I do a ton. It's cars. I get it. But Expo is more about the whole EV space, bikes, motorcycles. Like I tell people, it's very family friendly. You know, you've met my kids. We have a kids zone, you know, where you can bring young kids. Teenagers can ride bikes. It's also cool because we've got demos. So now, as you saw, we're the first ones to have Tesla. So you can come out, ride Teslas. I tell this story. Colin's basketball coach came out. He wanted to drive a Lightning, as we'll talk about later, we built. So he got to test drive a Lightning. It's really a little bit about everything. We were over 1 million square feet in Long Beach. Wow. Long Beach and Austin also have Industry Day, which is ran by Peter McGilvery, who you guys know. So that's really cool. That's where all the industry big hitters come out. Again, I'd love to have you on Austin. Meet the guys. It's all about the EV space. So yeah, it's new for me. As you know, we've done, like you said, last year, 800 plus horsepower Durango.
Yep.
Which is a cool segment because we did the Lightning at the same time. So got to in both spaces. But yeah. So Expo is everything, and then Showoff is the aftermarket. And it is the car show within the car Expo. Show. So yeah, we're kind of like the funnel. We've got great partners, Toyo Tires, McGuire's, Yokohama. We had about 100 cars, bikes, trucks. People laugh. We had a Batmobile.
Now, Neil, is Expo all about basically showcasing the latest, greatest, and the what if of electric technology? Is that how you would kind of, you know, categorize it or surmise what Electrify Expo is?
Yeah, a little bit of that, but also a place where you can come. For instance, like I said, if you and your wife want to find out about e-bikes, we're the one stop to do everything. You can ride. So we have 30, 40 vendors. So you can literally come in, and this is the best part. We're $20. We're cheaper than a movie. You come in, you can ride e-bikes all day. You can, we have a high speed course where you can ride motorcycles, scooters, and then, so it's a little bit of everything. But yes, it's about setting the trends. It's where the EVs, the OEMs are playing. As I think you know, we have more OEMs than some auto shows. We have more OEMs than other big shows. Wink, wink. You know which ones I'm talking about. Yeah. And not only can you come sit in the cars, then you can do the ride and drives, the demos, but then you come to Showoff, and that's where you and me play. That's where you get to see what's new in our space. And I know you know this, Mike. Our listeners don't, or maybe some do, but we're really new to the space. As you saw, you were with me when we were building the Lightning. It's like, what can you do? But what I tell people, and funny part, you and me, we work with Dodge and some other OEMs. It's like people just need to understand it is a car. Yes, the motor, no motor, drivetrain.
Right.
We both bought Vossens for both our cars.
So I think it's really interesting because I think a lot of people, when they hear, it's an EV, right? Yeah. They automatically think cannot modify, it's electric. It's this world of I don't know yet. Right. Yes. When we talk about mechanical stuff, it's just that it's a tangible thing that you understand how it works. Where when you look at, say, something like an iPhone, you're just like, I don't know how this works. It's magic. And I think a lot of people look at EVs in the same way. Right. You're talking at times you've got one motor on each wheel. You have no, under the hood moving mechanical parts. So it's very, not that it's difficult to understand, but to your point, it's brand new. Now, yes, you have proven as a builder, right? First with the Mach-E, then with the Lightning, you can modify the hell out of your EV. And it's hot rodding. It's the new school of hot rodding, right? And if anybody thinks that that's not the case, I'm here to tell you, and Neil will tell you straight out, you are completely incorrect. It's just a different form of hot rodding. That's all it is.
Exactly. You're 100% right. And you've been part of it. You've been moved the last 2 years. Alex from Hoppos was a great example. He's the king in the lowrider world. But now it's funny, a guy's building. There was already the 57 Bel Air by Brian and his team that won Best of Show at our show. It was a lowrider classic. And then a guy now is building a Tesla, full lowrider paint scheme, wire wheels, air. Yeah. So it's like you talked about, and I love watching what you do in your space, and you are the man, in what you do. And it's like, it's so cool because we're car guys, but I get it. Look at the Durango, made noise, was loud. Everywhere you drove. Yeah. People looked at us like, and then I drive the Lightning and people are like, oh, it makes no noise. I'm like, it's still badass. And this is the best part. The Durango was what? 0 to 60 in like 3.6. The Lightning's 3.8. And they're both heavy. It's supercharged, turbocharged to new EV setup. Right. And that's the cool part. But I think people are open to it, but we are a little early. And that's what's awesome about Showoff and Expo. It's the place where you can come learn. I mean, you're a gearhead. So we just have to learn about the space and what's possible. And that's the fun part. It's when we first started, it's like, oh, Civics aren't going to go run nines, and it's a rice rocket. Right. You hear that in the EV space, but I think it's fun. And I think you and me talked about it when we were together. We're going to be able to lead people, builders, media, consumers to the next wave of what's coming. And that's kind of exciting.
Well, now let me ask you a question, because I know it is and this is interesting because, kids now, anybody that's under 16 will never not know a world without EVs. Right. Yes. So it's kind of like us when we were kids, right? We grew up and like, I could tell you, we've lived through carburation, EFI, direct injection, hybrid, full electric, we've lived through vinyl, we lived through 8-track, we lived through cassette, we lived through MP3s, but like, you know what I mean? So it's really interesting, but the next generation of drivers is going to be electric. And we know this. So I guess my question is, as a kind of a family event where kids can come in and they can experience all electric with their folks, how do you think, are you finding, and you have kids, are you finding that they're more receptive to the EV space than they would be to a mechanical space just because of the technology they grew up with? Like, are they more, do you think they adapt easier than kind of gray guys like myself, or
gray guys like myself? I shaved for you today, by the way. But yeah, nice. Our kids are just, honestly, they're smarter than they're smarter than I am now. But when I was younger, like you said, they just adapt to it. Look at the iPhone. We had beepers and dial-up. Yeah, I mean, my kids come, like, you met Colin, they know all about the bikes. They know about supers and the jackrabbits and the Kofins. I mean, we just built a Kofin motorcycle for him. No, he's not going fast, but it's all electric. And before, there's no gas. You don't have to fix anything. They're just accustomed to it. My nephew, 4 or 5 years old, came to Long Beach. He was just riding the go-karts in the kids zone. Yeah. go-karts and razors all day. He didn't have to, and it's plug and play. Plug it like the supers. You plug it into the wall.
Yeah.
So I think they're one used to it. I think two, it's just the norm. For us, it's new. For like you said, us older gearheads, we're used to the superchargers. I mean, when we worked at Vortex, we're used to the exhaust we made for the Durango. It's just a little bit different, but I think the next generation it's the norm, and they enjoy it. Like I said, when you come out to Seattle, you're gonna ride. You can just get on any bike, and I mean, there's like BMX bikes that are EV. There's just cruisers. I mean, I'll take you on the high speed zone. You're going 50, 60 on a electric motorcycle. You know, so different than the motorcycles we grew up on.
Well, I agree with that, but I think what's interesting is that it's going to take the world a while to understand that they can hot rod them out, right? Because here's the thing: whether I think whether you're an ICE person or whether you're an EV person, and whether you're updating with petrol or software, right? It's one of those things where it's the you can do it type of philosophy. And I know that so many people, like, when hybrids first came, everybody's like, that's bullshit. No, hybrids, blah, 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 blah. Logically, you think about it and you're like, but it makes perfect sense, right? You're getting you still have a combustion engine, so you're not going to run out of range, and the electric power is going to give you excess range that and I was one of those guys that was like, I don't want a hybrid. And then you start driving and you're like, these are pretty good. Shit.
No, Maine had a hybrid. Hybrids to me still are the best of both worlds.
Dude, there's no question. Like, if I was going to go out and buy something right now, it would be a plug-in hybrid, because I've got my 30 whatever miles of EV range. And then I've got my ICE motor that's going to keep me rolling. I'm never going to, like, if I need to stop at a gas station for 20 minutes or for 5 minutes and fill
5 minutes.
Cool.
I could see it in your eyes. The range still scares us.
I can't. I have range anxiety like crazy.
You forget you were with me driving back from SEMA?
Oh, I know. Well, this is a perfect example. Like, Neil and I were talking about this, and I drove the Durango back from SEMA, and Neil drove the Lightning back from SEMA. And Neil called me, I feel like every 30 minutes. I was like, where are you? He's like, I'm looking for a goddamn plug-in and I can't find one.
It was new. It was new for me. Now there's apps, and we have no filters. Right. I don't lie to be. It was. Now it's been 8 more months, and I've got it. I can drive to Joshua Tree, but you got to San Francisco from Vegas faster than I got to LA.
Right.
By like
and
a few hours.
Double the distance.
By a few hours. So no, you're right about hybrids. And the cool thing, so Expo and Showoff also allow plug-in hybrids. So we're really trying to push the envelope. It's not just EVs. We can do hybrids. And there's some cool stuff. As you know, one of our partners is coming out with some hybrids. Funny, a guy's actually coming to DC with a Ferrari hybrid. So
think about it. The new Ferraris are all hybrids.
Yeah. And all the sports cars. So that's a whole nother space to dip into. But I think back to your point, we need to educate people, not just myself, guys like you who people respect, who've been in the industry for a long time, that you can trick out, modify your electric vehicle. You don't have to, like you said, the Mach-E was the perfect example. There's no limitations. Some to the motor, of course, no motor, but I mean, from an aesthetic standpoint, interior, you and me always talk wheels, tires, suspension, brakes.
Yeah. Well, I think people are nervous because, with like, for instance, you can upgrade a brake kit on a traditional car, right? And it's mechanical, right? You get the right brackets, you get the right lines, you get the right booster, boom, you got a brake kit. When you're talking about EVs, everything is so tied into each other. Like, every component is tied into each other. And if you don't know anything about them, you're like, well, shit. Well, if I move this wire, is the vehicle not going to start? Is it going to shut down? Am I going to short out? Is it going to burn to the ground? Like, there are so many. And like, if you're not an electric guy, meaning if you don't do like home electrical work and stuff like that, or wiring, like that's not me. Like, I just had my entire, my old car just completely redone with wiring and everything. I wouldn't have rewired the car because I know in my heart, I would have burned it to the ground.
Yeah. Or like, you short circuit something. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not me. But what I find amazing is that there are people that have that confidence that will dive into that. And it's like a body guy, right? Body guys have no problem cutting a fender, welding metal on, doing this, doing that. And I think the more that we see it, the more that we see customs like the Lightning or your Mach-E, or, other vehicles out there, the more it's going to open up the playbook for people to go, you know what? Maybe I'm not going to buy one as my only car, but I'm going to buy one. I'm going to start to hot rod it, and I'm going to start to do little things and use them as a learning experience. And I also think that as we move away from, lithium, and we go to kind of like solid state, that's going to change everything as well.
It will. Yep.
And so I think the future is really, and hell, we were last podcast we had on Rory Carroll from Jalopnik, the editor-in-chief of Jalopnik.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Porsche Mission E electric hypercar, right? The concept, right? It's not out the concept.
Yeah.
But the fact that Porsche now is just like, and granted, Porsche, they've got the Taycan, and that's all EV, and that's fine. But when they say we're going to build a hypercar that's going to be electric, that this is never going away. Like, it's here to stay. And again, might not be for everybody, but the fact that the OEMs are jumping on this full bore right now is pretty amazing.
Yeah, the two cool things that you touched on, the OEMs, and also something more in your world. There's so many cool conversions now. I got to get you guys on the podcast. I mean, we had a 57 Bel Air, we had a 32 Deuce Coupe, we had a 1964 Galaxy, which you would love.
Yeah, sure.
When you come out to Seattle, there's a guy doing a DeLorean.
Yep.
There's a 67 Plymouth. A guy's doing old Scooby-Doo van. And these are all conversions. So, and of course, BC with his Porsche.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Rywire's doing a kit for the EG and the EK. So Honda lovers. So the conversion side's a whole nother place, because that's when you take the hot rodders. Like, we have a couple of lowrider guys building lowrider EVs. We've talked eventually my Skyline and my S15. I want to make them EV. I know it's going to turn some heads, but it's just the new wave. You're right.
There are certain things and in certain cars for me, when we talk conversions, it's fine, right? So I have no problem. You got a 64 Lincoln drop top, you want to electrify that, have that. You got a 65 Caddy Calais, you want to EV that, knock yourself out, right? But if you're going to pull a 440 out of a 68 Charger, I got an issue with that, right? Because so much
I'm going to come back to you in 2 years and see. I see what you're saying. It's
but
RB26 to go.
Yeah,
EV.
there's something about certain vehicles if a vehicle wasn't meant to be fast, okay, and it's like I can 2002. But things like that, absolutely will benefit. Like, I've got an old BMW, my old E12, right? It's a little straight six, and it putters along okay. But you know what? I wouldn't mind that as an EV, because it's not a performance car. It's a little runabout that does what I want it to do. But as an EV, it makes perfect sense to me. Whereby, if somebody says, "Oh, we're going to EV swap your Daytona," I'd be like, "Over my dead body."
Or a Supra. You would cringe if someone told you.
Because it's such a the Supra. The lore of that car is that 2JZ under the hood that just explodes with 1,500 horsepower, and that it is that car. The same way
I can respect that,
right? The same way as
I can respect that.
A 454 Chevelle is a 454 Chevelle. You pull that hard out, it's just not
kills the car
a little bit, right? A little bit. And listen,
I can respect that.
Yeah, if it's, and there are so many, I think, different ways of thinking it. Like, if you don't have that motor and you just so happen to have an EV swap and you're good at it, and that keeps the car on the road, I'm fine with it. That's okay. But I think that certain cars benefit from it a bit more than other vehicles. And I think that, dude, your cars, I don't know. They're so iconic that I'm just like,
I like pushing that envelope. And
I know you do.
I definitely agree with the BMW, but I think it's just the possibilities are there. And that's what excites me, like you said, on the conversion side and then the OE side, because the OEs are starting to take notice. We've got a good amount. Porsche, will be coming out to Expo and Showoff, doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
They've got some new cars next year. So I'm excited. I'm excited. And I love working with guys like you, because we're learning. We're still learning. Yeah. We've been
100%.
doing this for a minute and we're still learning. So I think that's the best part.
So let me ask you, what's your favorite part about kind of the EV space that you've seen so far? And when you look at the different technology, and more importantly, when you get behind the wheel of these things, What is it that most excites you about it as somebody that loves both ice and electric?
From a personal standpoint, for me being a cheapo, I don't have to put gas. I haven't put gas in 2 years. No, and then from the build side, it's just and the show side, it's just the excitement that those who are starting to be engaged, they see the possibilities. Again, it's like when we were in high school, it's like, oh, you can do this. Oh, the car's fast. I get the noise, and your cars are loud, and they sound awesome. And we did driving tests with the Durango. I get the noise.
Yeah.
BJ talked about it. The noise is what gets you going. I get that, but it's just the excitement of people seeing the possibilities. Yeah. And I think that excites me because it's a new space. So I love people, and I love seeing their expressions. Like, we had a couple of rally cars. We had Dye's Tesla. Vaughn has his 1400 horsepower Mach-E.
Yep.
We've been it. Makes you, excuse my language, crap your pants.
Yeah.
So I think that's the exciting part, seeing where the future can take us.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because, like, as most of you guys know, if you haven't seen it, Neil and I did do Project Rampart, which was the Hellcat Durango that we built last year for SEMA through Hemmings and with Dodge. And we were bullshitting the other day because Dodge just came out with this new Hornet. They came out with the Hornet RT, which is a plug-in hybrid. It's their first foray into the EV space. And so we were just like, well, like, what? So I called Neil and I was like, so what if we built one of these? And it's interesting because you go into that. Well, can you make it cool? Can you make it fun? Can you make it appeal? Can you take a little a crossover and I will say, because I've driven the ICE version and I've driven the hybrid version, is pretty fantastic in its own right. Like, they handle great. They've got the right brakes, great suspension, but from just a visual appeal standpoint, as good looking as it is, it's still a little crossover, right? So how can we take one of those? How can we enhance it? How can we sprinkle a little Neil Tjin and Musto fairy dust on this thing and kind of bring it into our world, right? So I don't know. We might have to play with one of those soon, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun. Again, it's a different brand. And the first thing you said, how do we make it fun? How do we make it where people are into it? And for you and me, how does it perform on the street? The cool thing too, that, as you know, I drive my EVs every day. So I drive the Mach-E, I drive the Lightning. How do we build something with one of our partners that's plug-in hybrid that we can take to shows, like Showoff? And I already have some things in mind. I know you do. Cool color, cool stance, maybe widen the body, a little bit, big wheels.
Yeah. Yeah.
Our brains are already going.
That's just it.
Anything is possible.
Yeah, and I think that's really the fun part. So dude, you've got so much stuff going on aside from that Electrify Expo and stuff. What other stuff are you working on right now? And where could people, like, most people do know, but if they don't, where can they follow you?
Yeah, so the biggest thing right now is Showoff, because it's brand new. I'm building it. I love it. We have 6 more shows. We're going to San Francisco in 2 weeks. I know you'll be gone, but I'll see you in Seattle. San Francisco, DC, New York, Seattle, Miami, and Austin. We're still doing some builds for SEMA, more personal. And then, God willing, you and me will be doing some cool stuff together, which is exciting.
I think so. Yep.
Yeah, which will be exciting because, one, I love working with you, and 2, we do cool shit together. So
that's true.
It's still playing in the car space. As you know, I still am a dad first and husband, so still play with the kids. But man, blessed to be working with guys like you. We still year 27 for me that we've been doing this. And a lot of social. So most people could find me. It's just usually on Instagram at Tjin Edition. I play a little bit on LinkedIn because now we're older, but it's just everywhere. And when people see us at events, or when we do our build together and they see us at shows, same thing we said last time. Don't be a stranger. We both love talking to people.
Yeah, come up, say hello.
Come say hello. Ask about the car. Ask about your Daytona and the crazy stuff you're doing, about the potential hybrid that we're going to build together. That's going to be badass. And you just kept having fun. But like you, I think when we met last time, we are nonstop. Our brains are always
it's perpetual motion. Like it's funny because I know if I wake up at like 4 a.m., there are very few people that I could probably ping a text to and that are going to answer. Neil is one of the, because I know he'll wake up at like 4 o'clock and his mind's going a mile a minute. So I'll throw him a tap, be like, "You up?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm up." I'm like, "I knew it."
And we'll brainstorm. But that, you know what?
Yeah.
That's the fun part, and that's what gets people exciting. So I mean, we're in the summer. Let's keep having fun. I know we'll be seeing a lot of each other.
Oh yeah.
God willing, and then the shows. And, let's just keep educating people and showing them what's possible in all of our spaces. It's automotive.
Yeah.
You know this. It's
absolutely.
we cannot be closed-minded. Like you just schooled me right there. Neil, don't maybe don't EV here S15. And I have to be open to it because it's about the industry and continuing to push it forward and giving back to those who kind of got us there. Now we're the ones giving to the next generation.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, one of the things that I do want to build eventually, and you and I will talk about this. Like as you know, I used to road race motorcycles, and I've been a bike guy since I was a kid. And we did that Super 73 last year, which it's a little Z1 that I tool around on all the time, and it's a rip of a little thing. And that's like, I want to get a little more into the EV bike space because there's something about that instantaneous rush of torque. And it's very strange to me because I really, really enjoy riding EV bikes. I just do. It's for some reason there's less stress on an EV bike than an ICE powered bike. Yeah. I don't know why, but there just seems to be. I need to explore that space more, and I need to be able to get. We do. That's 100%. I need to be able to jump on a full blown. Like I haven't ridden the EV Harley yet, and I haven't ridden many EV bikes, but I know that when I do ride them, I'm like, this thing is great, and I find myself there's a much greater sense of relaxation on an EV bike than there is on a petrol powered bike, right? So that's 100%. That's something we might have to do something with that. I might need to build one of those too.
No, we will. Well, this is your perfect segue. When you come to Expo, you can ride them all. I'll get your big butt up early. We'll get into the venue, and then there's like the whole motorcycle. That's what I told you. I never played in it either. I think you knew we did the bike together. I do love my bike too. I tell people I like cruising. When I get home from work, I ride with Colin. He just did the Kofin F80 motorcycle, and I'll send you the link. Yeah. And he loves, and like you, I cruise 20, 22. The motorcycles go 53.
Yeah, dude, that's booking.
And they rip, but they are so fun to drive. Yeah. Suspension. So yeah, exactly what you talked about. When you come up to Seattle, we will introduce you to everybody. When you come down to Orange County, when we do our filming, I'll bring one because you do ride them. I just got into it. You'll love it. If you love the bikes, but see, that's the cool part. It's a whole nother space. We've never talked about.
It's a new world. Yeah. It's brilliant. And I think that a lot of, if you rode in a previous life and you missed that, it's weird because like when you first start riding, at least when I first started riding, you go from like a little Z50 to you bounce up to an RM80. Then you bounce up to a 250 road bike or, then maybe a CR or something like that. And then all of a sudden you're riding, 1100 cc liter bikes, right? But then like the older I got, I kind of slowed down, stopped racing, doing all this other stuff. And it's weird because then I jump back on this little EV thing and I go, I really miss doing this. And I'm not dragging a knee around a corner at $1.50. You know what I mean? I'm cruising at 20, but that fun sensation of just the freedom of being on two wheels, the ease of it, right? And the peacefulness of it, which sounds very strange, is really enjoyable. It's just, it's something that I need to explore a lot.
I'm glad I see that smile on your face because I feel the same way. We have two bikes. Yeah, no, we'll definitely link you up with those guys. Like I said, when you come out and our enthusiasts and our spectators explore the whole genre, and you and me are like that. Yes, Showoff is my baby. I love aftermarket. I love come enjoy Showoff, but explore and learn all about the space because there's so many avenues, like you said, that are untapped. Yeah, I think that's what's exciting. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad. I can't wait to show you all the fun toys.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So if people want to find out about Electrify Expo, is it just electrifyexpo.com or what?
Yes, sir. Electrifyexpo.com. And then if you'll see a tab in /Showoff. But yeah, all the stuff's there. Like I said, we're in San Francisco. June 24, 25. And then every month, we are going East Coast, like I said, DC, New York, and Miami.
Okay.
Miami's going to be fun. We're going home. And then we'll have Seattle and Austin. Yes, sir.
Very good. All right, great. Well, and listen, for those of you out there that are looking for a project car, looking for a fully restored car, we even have a couple of hybrids out there. And I think we might have an EV or two. Go to Hemmings.com, check out our classifieds, check out our auction, our make offer pages. I promise there's something there that will light your fire. Otherwise, Neil, sir, it is always a pleasure to have you on. Always great to just sit back, BS a little bit, catch up. And people, go check out Mr. Neil's stuff. He's doing some amazing stuff in the EV world, also in the ICE world and the custom world, as you know, with Tjin Edition. That's it, brother. That's all I got.
Appreciate you. No, thank you. Anytime I get to spend with you is beyond awesome. And it's an honor working with you. And like I said, sure, I'm going to see your pretty face a lot the next couple of months. So make sure you're ready for mine too.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Hot Rod BBQ. Thanks for listening, folks. And again, please subscribe to the Hot Rod BBQ podcast. If you're on Spotify, check us out there. Subscribe to it on iTunes. And if you are going to go to YouTube, make sure you go to the Hot Rod BBQ podcast and hit that subscribe button, and we'll come to you every week.